So, hey, Storm Freaks, it's Phil. On May 21st, Greenfield, Iowa was hit by an EF4 tornado. Josh Wurman and Karen Kosiba measured winds over 300 miles per hour. They were in the Doppler On Wheels, better known as the Dow. But they're here to tell us about it on episode 213 of Stormfront Freaks Live!
Going green. Greenwich. Saddle them up. You got it, boss.
So welcome to the most entertaining weather show. This is the award-winning and top 10 Stormfront Freaks Live. It's brought to you by our friends over at Windstorm Products. So Windstorm Products, they offer specialized fasteners for coastal projects. You can ensure your structures stand strong in any weather. Just go visit windstormproducts.com and you can fortify your space today. Thanks to all of our Patreon members. We got a bunch of them. I think we've got like 40 some Patreon members. It's crazy.
Ooh,
But
nice.
we got them all scrolling across the bottom of the screen. So for those of you watching, you get a chance to see them all and see yourself if you're one of our Patreon supporters. But I'll tell you what, you can join our team as well. We've got access to our exclusive Facebook group and chat with over 50 of our past guests. So this exclusive Facebook group, it's got all of our co-hosts in it. And like I said, over 50 of our past guests, but it's a great place where we post stuff that we don't typically post on our other, social media things. So you're going to get us, like I mentioned earlier, like walking my dog one night and talking about things. So it's really behind the scenes of the freaks and our guests. We also have tiers that include exclusive merchandise, like t-shirts, bucket hats, water bottles, but you can help support the show and join the team for as little as $5 a month. You can find out how to join our Patreon team at stormfrontfreaks.com. Also, if you are right now watching us on Twitter or Facebook, the best experience is over on YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/stormfrontfreaks. Brady's also set up memberships on our YouTube page if you'd like to join in the chat during our outbreak coverage or these live shows. He created some exclusive emojis of a lot of the co-hosts and stuff. It's really kind of fun.
There's a cat in there somewhere, I think.
There is a storm cat in there.
Several.
Absolutely.
Several.
So on that note, let's go around the horn, find out which of our co-hosts are with us tonight, and find out what they're drinking. Lets you know we like to have a little fun on this weather show, and also puts a voice to that name. Maz, I'm going to start with you. Mark Maz Massaro, our former on-camera meteorologist. What are you drinking?
I got the Frosted Stormfront Freaks German Pilsner by Post and Beam Brewing. It's hoppy. You could tell. There's a picture of some hops right there, right in the middle. It's good. I like it.
Nice.
It's a tall boy. It's big.
What do you think? Yeah, it should last.
I like it.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not as into like high hoppiness, but it's good. I like it. Yeah. No, I mean I like it. I do. I'm gonna drink it. I'm not throwing it out. Are you crazy?
Well, you better not.
Yeah.
The exclusive
Better drink all of
200th
it.
episode.
Drink
That was
beer,
good.
Maz.
That beer's
All
been
right.
on the top of Mount Washington, man.
All right, Serena Arnold, our meteorologist and author. Serena, how about you? What are you drinking?
Yeah, we can't talk to the team from the Dows without having a little cloud candy in the house tonight.
That's nice.
It's a nice IPA. Very happy about it.
Very hoppy about it,
hoppy?
aren't you?
Very happy.
Beat you to it.
Ah,
All right, then we got Dina Knightley, our meteorologist for weather.com. What are you drinking?
I'm just drinking some wine, but I got it because of the name. It was like a cloudy weather wine or something. I'm like, well, I got to buy it. I can't not
Yeah.
buy that.
there is no choice.
No.
Amazing.
Well, I do think Brady's supposed to be joining us later as well. Brady Harris, our meteorologist, but he had a hockey game, so he might be running a little bit late, but jumping in. And MJ's not here, so I'm kind of running the show behind the scenes, so I'm going to be a little busy back here as well, but I know Dan Wallace is hanging out in the back. But Maz, I'm going to turn it over to you so we can get to our guests.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Phil. We have Josh Wurman and Karen Kosiba. And let me tell you, Dr. Josh Wurman chases the most destructive weather forces on Earth for a living. How much fun is that? As a leading scientist and innovator, he's developed pioneering techniques for tracking and analyzing tornadoes, tropical cyclones, wildfires, winter storms, you name it. His revolutionary Doppler on Wheels, known as Dow technology, has led to countless weather discoveries. Josh has appeared on several television shows, including the Discovery Channel's Stormchasers with fellow scientist Karen Kosiba, who's joining us as well. Karen is an atmospheric scientist who has studied some of the most powerful tornadoes and hurricanes up close from inside the Dow. I'm very jealous, by the way, that mobile radar station. She's participated as project scientist, radar operator, and project leader in a multitude of field projects, including this year's May 21st Greenfield, Iowa tornado, where Josh and Karen's team measured wind speeds as high as 309 to 318.
Ooh,
Gotta ask
wow.
you guys, when you saw that, are you like, no, this can't be right? I mean, what was going through your head when you saw those numbers? You're speechless.
We were yeah, I know. Well, we're feeling like amateurs because we don't have proper beverages, but it's nine in the morning, 10 in the morning here. I think I was surprised to see winds that high. It's very rare that we see winds that strong. We do see winds around 200 or maybe 250 miles an hour every so often, but seeing winds of 300 miles an hour like that is quite rare, very unusual.
Yeah, I didn't really register that we were seeing winds that high in real time when we were looking at the radar data and we were looking at, what was going on as the tornado was going through the town. I was just looking at, it was actually a very small tornado, so I wasn't even thinking about the wind speeds. And then afterwards, when we started looking through the data, it was, kind of shocking to see winds that high in such a small tornado.
So is it digital, or how do you know? Is it color coded? How are you able to decipher this? Since I've never been invited into the Dow, I'm just saying, you got to explain it to me.
Yeah, don't get too jealous. Once you're in the Dow for 100 or 1,000 hours, it's not as exciting. It's bumpy and hot and smelly and uncomfortable. It's
noisy
and really noisy. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So our screens pretty much look like any weather radar screen. You see a whole bunch of colors and things that look pretty psychedelic, but they have certain shapes that you're used to. So you sort of know what a supercell looks like. We know what a tornado looks like. We know what a velocity couplet from the tornado looks like, with the one color on one side and the other color on the other side. We see a digital display, but it's multicolor like any other radar. The big difference is just that we're zoomed in a whole lot. So when you're looking with a typical weather service radar or something on one of these apps, usually you're looking at things that are miles across. We're just way zoomed in, looking at the details, sort of street by street level details as it passes near us.
And we use a better color scale. Color table.
Color tables are very
much prettier
interesting.
colors.
Much
Yeah.
prettier colors.
Yeah. Well, we
But
can
I
choose
do
our
have
color
one-
scales a lot, so it's pretty
Oh, you
interesting
do?
because,
Yeah.
well, if it depends what features we're trying to draw out. So we do have our tornado color scale, which makes everything look so boring.
Right.
And other people's in our team are sometimes saying, "Oh, look at that spin up out there." And we're going, meh, because we're using a color scale that only really shows the strongest rotations.
Let's see.
Gotcha.
I have a question for you. For people who don't know what Doppler on wheels are, might have just seen it drive by. Can you explain everything that vehicle can do? I mean, how many people can you fit in it? Like things like that.
Well, we have a fleet of Doppler on wheels, and everyone's a little different. They've been evolving. We get a little smarter, learning what works in one truck or doesn't work in another truck. In fact, the two current Doppler on wheels are at their end of their life. We're getting new trucks very, very soon, and we're going to put all the radar stuff on new trucks and make some improvements because they're about a decade old. So we've learned some things since then. At their fundamental basics, they're just a weather radar on a truck. So you take any television or weather service weather radar, make some of the parts smaller, and glue it on a truck. And that's what we've got. But that's the key aspect. Since it's on a truck, we can get up close to things. So we get up close to the tornado and see thousands of times the detail that you can from farther away. We go inside the hurricanes. We go next to the fires. We go in the blizzards, just by being closer.
But it's a cab. You sit in a cab and there's, one or two people, depending on which one that you're in a chair that has no cushioning anymore. And you're back there with all the radar equipment, all the computers, everything that you need to operate the radar.
Yeah. So the front of the truck is just like a regular truck. We have a driver who's focusing just on driving in really nasty conditions. We have a navigator and coordinator up in front who's focused on getting to the right places, knowing whether that next road is a dead end or not, but also talking to the other team members, because we have a very complex choreography around the tornadoes. We're not just chasing with a radar, we're chasing with a fleet of different radars, mobile mesonettes, which are weather stations on pickup trucks. We drop these pods, we're launching balloons. We need everything in the right place very ambitiously, but also trying to keep everybody safe too. And the back of the truck is pretty, I don't know, coffin-like. I mean, it's got black walls and computers on the walls. It's sort of our mission control for everything that's going on. But it's got a lot of really cool displays because you've got radars and other things going on. But it is fairly uncomfortable for long periods of time because it's hot and noisy and bouncy.
Yeah. So I have to jump right to like the Greenfield day. Have you guys measured 300 plus winds before then and since May 3rd, 99?
Yeah, we measured 300-mile-an-hour winds in some very small multiple vortices in the El Reno tornado near Oklahoma City
In 2013.
In 2013. But they were just in these little sub-tornado scale vortices, which were going very, very fast. So the vortices themselves actually weren't super strong, but they were moving almost 200 miles an hour. So that was a very strange case where the main tornado didn't have winds that small, but there are very small parts of it that did. So we're not even sure how to interpret that. They would have resulted in 300-mile-an-hour winds, maybe, but only for tenths of a second. Just a puff of really, really bad for those. Even this Greenfield tornado, the 300-mile-an-hour winds probably only lasted about a second for people who were on the ground stationary. So if you were in a house, it would have been over very, very quickly. I mean, really, really bad for a few seconds. 300 miles an hour, maybe for a second, and then over.
And also in a very narrow swath, in a very small area.
Yeah, the tornado seemed like it was in the process of dying as it got to Greenfield. It was shrinking, and then it was very, very strong and small. And then
a new tornado was forming.
Yeah, and just northeast of Greenfield, it died. Yeah. And then another one formed just about on top of our Dow, so that was a little uncomfortable. Right before the Greenfield tornado went through Greenfield, it got really windy at the Dow, confusingly to us because we're watching the Greenfield tornado in the radar, and it's really windy where we are because we were in a new tornado, and that's not a famous tornado. It didn't get nearly as strong, but that's not uncommon that we see essentially a handoff of tornadoes. Sometimes you see one tornado dying and a new one starts to form. It's called cyclic tornadogenesis. You want a lot of syllables. And sometimes you have a tornado and it dies and then a new one forms, but sometimes as the old one's dying, there's a new one forming, and they both are there for a certain period of time.
So what role were you guys playing that night? So Josh, what were you working on? Karen, what were you working on when that all happened?
Oh, that night. I was thinking after.
As you were taking the readings and you were in, what job was Karen doing? What job was Josh doing?
Well, first when he said roll too, I'm like,
I was supervising. Karen was doing all the work.
Yes,
it's a good division. So I was up in front, and I was helping navigate where we were going to go and sort of coordinating our choreography where the fleet was going to go. And then you were in the back.
Yeah, I was in the back operating the radar, keeping track of where the tornado was and where we thought the tornado was going to go.
Yeah, so the person in the back is basically, she's got the radar display right there, and so she can basically click on it and get the angle, the azimuth where the tornado is, and then also what the range is. And what we're doing constantly is tracking where that is. The radar spins around every 7 seconds. So potentially every 7 seconds, we're getting a new location for that tornado.
Wow.
So we can track it, because it's very important for us to know, is it going to go through Greenfield or just east of Greenfield, in which case we got to run, or is it dying, or what's happening to it?
And we also obviously want to get we're trying to get instrumentation in the path of the tornado. So knowing where the tornado is going to go, trying to project that is really important for our scientific objectives.
Yeah. So based
And
on
safety.
so based on those locations, we knew we wanted to get pods in that tornado, and we sent our pod team back to drop these pods
Quickly.
very, very quickly in the tornado. And they got one in, but the mission was not a total success, because they did get one pod in, which was great. But what we had hoped was getting several pods in, but they just ran out of time, because this tornado was not only very strong, but also moving really, really fast, about 50 miles an hour. So by the time we got the pod team in, we were just a little bit too slow.
How do you decide?
It makes it really challenging to do this, get our stuff in there. Normally when things are moving nice and slow, it's easier to project the path and have a little bit of time to get people in the right position. But we were scrambling pretty much as the tornado was reaching Greenfield.
Yeah, it was a very high degree of difficulty day. Iowa is full of a lot of trees and hills, which is not good for mobile radars because we can't see them.
See tornadoes.
We drove. Yeah, we can see the trees. That's all we see. But well, I can. You're in the back in this dark radar cabin. You see nothing. But we were driving right through Greenfield just minutes before it went through Greenfield. So we're blind for about 2 minutes or so as we're driving through Greenfield. So that added a degree of difficulty. So we deployed our radar just about the second we got out of Greenfield and realized, stop. We're going to get data because the tornado is right there.
Yeah.
How do you decide on who goes on the pod team? And with a day like that, and it's like, you got to get in and out or you're in trouble. You're like, Bob, we're pretty mad at you from last time. You're
I
on
was
the
just
team.
thinking that, like, he's pissing me off. Go send him on the pod team.
That's right. The most replaceable people go on the pod team.
Gonna need a new pod team.
Yeah. No, so for any of our people, so we have these missions that are very close in to tornadoes. So generally what we're looking is for people who are reasonably level-headed. We need people who can stay focused, who aren't going to get scared, but also aren't going to get distracted by, squirrel, right? We need people focused on their mission.
Not me.
I was going to say Brady's out.
You're not going in there to take pictures of tornadoes. So people, you're not looking outside and having that chance. You really need to be. Yeah.
But we need level-headed people. We need people who aren't going to be panicky or get too distracted. We need people who can lift 100-pound pods. So there's certain people on our team, are just not comfortable lifting heavy objects in and out of vehicles in a very short amount of time. So that's mainly it. We've had a whole variety of people.
We also usually somebody meteorologist or somebody who's done storm chasing. So especially in the pod vehicle, somebody who's in there that can look at storm structure and know what's going on, and make reasonable decisions if we're not in communication with them, or if they think they need to do something different based on what they're seeing, so that they know what the pointy thing is.
Yeah, we're providing overall guidance and safety for the team, but at some point the pod teams and also this ballooning team that goes in right to the tornado, we do want to have a pretty skilled meteorologist in there who knows tornadoes,
knows storm structure,
and knows that the wind is coming from the wrong direction and different than what they're expecting, that maybe they need to bug out and get out of there. And in fact, they did. This particular team, we sent them in and they decided that they didn't have enough time to deploy a second pod. And did they? I don't know, but they made a judgment that they didn't have to, and we want them to have that degree of autonomy to stay safe. We're guiding them, but they, in the end, they've got to be able to make those decisions.
So I have a question about these pods. Like these pods, when you say pod, it sounds kind of small, like you can pick it up. But then you just said it was like 100 pounds. So are these just so heavy they sit on the ground? Do they have some kind of spike that goes into the ground? Can you explain these pods to me a little bit?
So the pods, it's just a weather station. So we have 2 anemometers, a regular one with blades and another ultrasonic anemometer. And then we have a little shielded temperature and relative humidity device and a computer and a GPS. And we just mount, it's basically, it looks sort of like a toilet plunger really, but it's got a big steel disc on the base and then just a pole welded to it that goes up about 3.5 feet. And that's all there is to it. And it doesn't spike in. We the original design, in fact, did have holes where we were going to drive spikes in them, and that's what I thought would be a great idea. And we've never done it. Nobody has time to sit there and drive spikes. And the
So it's
ground is
staying on the
hard.
ground. It's staying on the
Yeah,
ground.
yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. And the idea is just that it would take a lot to blow it over. And it does. It would take a lot. It's got a pretty big disc, and it weighs 100. The bigger ones weigh 120 pounds.
Ooh.
And they don't tip over.
Yeah.
Sometimes the instruments get hit by debris, but they pretty much don't tip over. Now, we didn't get this one in the zone that had 300-mile-an-hour winds. Maybe if it was in a zone like that, it would have tipped over, if not from the wind, by being hit by something. I mean, there were cars being tossed in there. So if a car hit the pod, it's game over.
Yeah.
We should be so lucky. I mean, these are supposed to be expendable. If we got a pod in a place that a car rolled onto it, we got great data up until the second it got hit. So that would be great for us.
Yeah.
Now, Josh,
God.
what if you have someone that satisfies like 2 out of that 7 criteria? Like you can lift the 100 pounds, but and then you can also yell CG at lightning. Like, does that qualify at all? Like, are we looking for all 7 qualities? Because there was a lot there.
The squirrel factor is a big
Except
problem.
people,
Yeah,
there.
the squirrel
I mean,
factor's
we have
definitely a big
people that
problem.
have no background in meteorology and they're good drivers and they can lift a pod. And we have people, again, we just try to at least have one, skilled meteorologist or skilled storm chaser in there that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
You need a meteorologist and a muscle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we need 2 people to lift them,
Yeah.
really, because they're very unwieldy. While one person can lift them, it's just not comfortable lifting this 100-pound object like that. So both people need to reasonably well lift the pod, and that's not really negotiable. You got to deploy a pod. We need one meteorologist whose basic job is to keep it safe. The other person can be, I mean, we affectionately call them meat. Anybody can sort of be anybody. If you can drive a vehicle, and be reasonably calm, that's about all we need. So it's just, and we have different combos of people, but boy, over the years, we've had a lot of mixed people deploying pods.
Serena,
I had my
I think
daughter out deploying pods in one project.
I'm in. I'm the driver, man. I'm in. That'd be awesome.
Serena, I can vouch for Serena. She is.
Yeah,
she's
the
as
best
cool,
driver.
Oh, she's as cool as a cucumber under pressure. She's just like laser focused. So. Now, has anyone asked this question yet? How generally, like, what's your guys' like range, not range, but like ideal range? Like, obviously you're not trying to intercept it, but is there a range where you're like, okay, I'm getting too far away from this? Like, how far away from the storm do you guys need to be for it to work optimally?
How far away from the tornado?
Yeah. Tornado.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's a mix, and it depends on what objectives we're doing. When we're trying to get low-level wind data, I mean, we're trying to be, a mile from the tornado. Obviously, it also depends on the tornado. Some tornadoes have really big wind fields, and you certainly don't want to be close, that close to that. But if it's a nice, narrow, well-behaved tornado, you can get in there pretty close. We're trying to get very near the ground to get these wind observations to see what's happening at, house level and what's causing the damage. And in order to do that, you have to be really close to do that, because the farther you get away, the higher you're scanning above the ground level.
Yeah. So the Greenfield tornado, we were about half a mile from the center of the tornado. Mm-hmm. Defining the edge of a tornado is kind of hard. People have different kinds of definitions. We were probably about much less than that from the edge of where the damage was occurring, which is how frequently people say the width of a tornado. We have a different definition for that. I mean, one of our best data sets happened when one of our radars got hit by a tornado, because it was really low to the ground. We got some really great data. But yeah, the radar got hit. So that's not our design, but hey, we'll take it.
It was a weak tornado.
It was a weaker tornado.
I was going to say, you can't use the excuse you didn't see it coming. I mean,
or you could actually. Well, one of the teams could.
Yeah, we had some confusion that day, and it was
and we did it after dark.
Well, we couldn't see it visually. Also, we were that radar team was actually outside staring at it. Yes, the radar team that was hit by the tornado was not following instructions. No. They were out looking at the tornado instead of.
We're not looking at it.
They were looking for the tornado. They were looking for the tornado. They couldn't see it. And they could have seen it in the radar, and they just no. And then all of a sudden it got windy, so they ran in the radar, and it broke their windows, and it was
wow.
Hell of a data set.
Yeah.
It was
They
it
did
was
it
an
for
amazing
science.
data set.
Yeah,
Was,
they
Yeah, good for science.
they totally did it for the science. Hey, speaking
there
of
are
the
some
science,
projects where we back off and try to look at more the environment that's forming the tornado and all that. So there sometimes we're 3 to 5 miles away from the tornado. So it just depends. And other kinds of storms, we do hurricanes. In fact, our tornado season experiment is done. And so now we're on standby to go in hurricanes. And for hurricanes, we're going right into them. We're basically right in the eye wall, because you can't study the hurricane from far away. We have to be in it to see it. So we're actually in much worse conditions in a hurricane. We're taking the worst part of the hurricane.
Wow.
yeah, that was something I was going to ask about. So, when I went to OU, I got to work with Dr. Biggerstaff in the SmartRs, and so we did like dual Doppler hurricane, data collection. And one of the things that I thought was fun is like, okay, you sit in the radar truck for a while and it's really cool. And then like hour 5, 6, 7 goes by. Now it's been 24 hours. You're in the radar. There's some fun things that, explain to people what it's like. There's a lot of people in the chat who are saying like, oh my gosh, we'd give all kinds of opportunities to be able to spend some time in the Dows and any of these mobile radars, and it's cool. But for the hurricanes, that's a real different story. That's a long time. Talk about what a wonderful but yet special kind of hell that is.
Hurricane missions are miserable. And we've had a lot of people who come out for one hurricane mission and never come again. And I'll have to tell you about Karen's first hurricane mission, because that was hilarious almost. But yeah, whatever you went through in the SmartRs, I have to say we're probably worse, because we are really ambitious about getting right to the coast and being in the worst winds and being there for the longest. And but yeah, so we can be, and we've been marooned. We were stuck in Louisiana for a couple of days because our route got cut off and it was flooded. We were way down south in New Orleans.
Oh my gosh.
It can be just horrible conditions there. Karen, she probably has a different version of this. Now, Karen, one of her first missions with our team ever was in a hurricane, and we deployed to the coast of Florida for a hurricane. And we were right on the coast. So we were basically parked on these cliffs, right at the edge of these cliffs, overlooking the ocean, and overlooking this bay and a barrier island. It was just an amazing deployment site for us. But we were probably 3 or 4 feet too close to the edge of the cliff, and it started eroding away during the storm. So the truck Karen was in was kind of slumping towards the ocean, and
the whole fact that you were right there on the edge was making me nervous. My anxiety levels going up.
Well, it was good at the beginning, and we just didn't calculate how much it would erode. The site got worse with time. We probably should have thought of that, but we didn't think of that enough. So it kept eroding away. So her truck's kind of slumping, and they're calling us on the radio. I was in a different truck about 3 miles away, and they're calling on the radio. And so, yeah, she was there with a team that was kind of getting anxious because they were slumping towards the ocean. And we didn't realize we were slumping though, because it was dark out and we just never could get level. So it's sort of like, because we could never get the truck level. We tried to get the truck level to take data, and it just never would quite get level. And we're like, something was wrong. It didn't seem right. They called us on the radio, and I remember replying, we can't talk now. Our truck's on fire, because my truck was, well, in my truck, we were dealing with a smoky, smoldering fire at the time. So I thought the first time we've had a fire during a hurricane too. Salt water is really bad for high voltage electronics, I can tell you that. And it finds a way. So yeah, so we were dealing with a smoldery fire and weren't being too much help to this team who needed our help. So, but hurricanes, we just get in some pretty difficult situations sometimes, because we're remote. There's no place to run to. We have to be completely self-sufficient for a long time. There's no rescue coming if we make a bad choice. Nobody's going to come in a helicopter and pluck us out in the middle of a hurricane. So we have to be, again, we're trying to be super ambitious. We're the most ambitious team getting to the coast, getting to the eye walls. But we're also trying to make sure that we're also 100% safe. We've done 18 hurricanes and never lost a truck. And I don't think we've lost any people.
Wow.
Do we have that?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, sure.
No, we haven't lost anybody.
So
they were too easily replaceable. We didn't notice.
What's like the top speed? Because I think this is probably like more of a factor for tornadoes. But like sometimes you got to get out. Sometimes you got to get out in a tight situation. What's like the top speed on the truck? And have you ever been in a position where you're just like, I need to go faster, but I can't? Like, I'm assuming you guys always plan for that, right? Of like leaving a little bit of extra time.
Sure. So in a tornado, yeah, we run away, and the trucks can go certainly highway speed. I mean, we've had them they're geared to 92 miles an hour.
Oh, nice.
They can certainly go 80. They can certainly go 80, 85 miles an hour. The older truck, one of them's having trouble getting up to that speed anymore because it's got a sad engine. It's got 250,000 miles.
Is this the one that was on fire?
Oh no.
No, different truck. Yeah, we're in a third generation of these trucks.
All right.
We drive these trucks hard, and the radar is hard and everything. So no, we're on. We have multiple generations of trucks. These are like the Queen's corgis. It's not the same corgi.
But as I say, older trucks. I mean, there's been times where like Herb, it's been flooring it. We're not really going anywhere.
Oh, we got hit by a tornado that we didn't understand. It was kind of a new phenomenon, a very, very, very large tornado with kind of another tornado inside it. It was a strange creature. But we were driving away from what we thought was the tornado, which is the small thing. And our driver, there was some old video of this where I'm sort of yelling to the driver saying, come on, drive. We're really trying to get away, because I noticed we were hardly going anywhere on the road and then stopping. I'm like, don't stop. We're not touristing here. We need to get away from that tornado that's heading towards us. And he said, I have the truck floored, and we were stopped dead in the road because we were in these winds that were well over 100 miles an hour. And in fact,
it's like flying with a headwind, and you're on the ground.
Yeah,
exactly.
We just could not move. So what we had to do is just defensively turn in the middle of the highway. Obviously, nobody else was driving down the road at this time because the winds were mid-hundreds miles an hour. Oof. So we just turned, we put our antenna towards the wind, figuring if debris hit us, at least it would hit our antenna and do damage to the antenna instead of us. And then we just stood there for the wind. In the middle of the tornado, the door ripped off the truck. And I didn't see that, but I know I was yelling at the other people in the truck saying, close your window. I thought they had opened the window, which would have been stupid.
Oh my God.
And they're yelling back at me saying, there's no door.
Oh my. Well, how much wind have you, what do you think the top wind? I mean, I've seen your trucks. They're big, they're heavy. Like, how much wind can that take before it gets flipped, you think? It could be a range.
I don't know if it would ever go airborne.
Yeah.
So first of all, we're sort of smart about which way we point in the wind. So in this case, we had the rear of the truck pointed to the wind. So we weren't going to get tipped sideways. It would have had to lift the rear, which has got an antenna which weighs 3,000 pounds on the back, and we had 250 gallons of fuel in there. There's another couple thousand pounds. We get a lot of weight low down, so it would take a lot to roll us end over end. In that particular tornado, sure, we had winds probably at the truck upper hundreds miles per hour. We were in a hurricane once that had a wind gust in the mid 140s. So we've been in. Sorry, got a fly on me.
Trying to casually do it.
This is in honor of the debate. It's like Mike Pence in the debate. So we've been in some very strong winds like that, certainly without tipping over. In a hurricane, we also try to point the front or the rear of the truck a little bit towards the wind, so we're not getting it broadside. That's the main thing. Yeah, it's flying.
It's a good old fly. So I'll tell you what. So you guys obviously know Jen Walton, who's a good friend of the show as well. But Girls Who Chase, they highlight the work of women in the field engaging in important tornado science, teaching the next generation of meteorologists, and also helping people find their joy in the skies. So weather is for everyone. So we encourage you to visit girlswhochase.com for more information. So we're going to take a short break, but we're going to be right back with more from Josh and Karen right after this Stormchaser safety tip.
It's time for this edition of Stormfront Freaks podcast, Stormchaser Safety Tip.
Join retired Fire Battalion Chief Randy Denzer, EMA Director Eddie Aldring, and Police Officer Eric Fox as we discuss some of the most common Stormchaser safety pitfalls to avoid. All right, so we're covering Stormchaser safety tips. I'm with Randy Denzer. He's a retired fire battalion chief with over 30 years in fire service and a current storm spotter and public safety director for the Spotter Network. Randy, let's talk a little bit about search and rescue, because a lot of times storm chasers are going to be or find themselves in situations where there are damaged homes, damaged businesses. And I guess my first question to you is, if someone is not trained in search and rescue, what would be some simple things that they could do that will help and not be a hindrance to first responders that might come on the scene later?
Well, Phil, the biggest thing is not becoming part of the problem. I've preached that for years. And the reason I preach it is because, in my line of work and being in charge with a lot of these big disasters, I've seen people become part of the problem. And a lot of times they're very well-meaning people who went in to try to help and didn't recognize a certain hazard, like down power lines or whatever else. And then they got themselves injured or worse, killed. I've seen Good Samaritans get killed before. So this is a pretty hot topic for me. The number one thing that chasers can do to lend a hand is to provide an accurate report to 911. It's to activate the 911 system. I've written a couple articles about this, and all you chasers out there, let me explain something to you. Especially chasers that have been doing it for more than 1 or 2 years or whatever, you're veteran chasers. If you had somebody pull up in front of your family's house and it was destroyed, okay, or the neighborhood was destroyed, who would you rather have provide a report back to 911 to get the proper resources en route? Would you rather have just, average Joe citizen who's going to say that 3 houses on the ground are terrible, and scream that the whole city's wiped out or whatever? Or would you like to have somebody, such as yourself, who can provide a very accurate, detailed report and get the proper amount of resources? And the obvious answer is that I would rather have storm chasers providing that report. The reason being is because, most chasers, even if you've never stood there firsthand, you have a general idea to be able to say that, hey, listen, we have 4 or 5 houses down, not the entire neighborhood. Especially, when you have the citizens it was their neighborhood, 3 or 4 houses to them could be their whole city's destroyed, right? We're not, as a storm chaser, you pull into some of these towns, you're not nearly as sensitized to that being your community, so you can provide a more accurate report. So the number one thing that storm chasers can do in search and rescue situations is provide an accurate report back to 911. That's the first thing, Phil. Second thing is, when I say don't become part of the problem, I've heard of a lot of chasers out there. I can give you a bunch of examples, and I've talked to a lot of them who have assisted during search and rescue. But I want you to hear me when I say that they've assisted. Unless you have thorough training to be able to operate in a disaster area, I don't recommend it to anybody. If you're assisting somebody, and there's some big name chasers out there who have gone in and done a lot of really good things, and they've worked all night long. I've known guys who have worked with different task forces, Alabama task force and Texas task force and stuff. If you're assisting somebody, you have somebody there with you who has the experience and the training to be able to say, hey, don't step there. That smell is not good. Let's move this way because that's natural gas or whatever else. It's okay to assist, but I would never ask anybody who's not trained to initiate any type of search and rescue operation on their own.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about if someone is interested in getting more training for search and rescue, and it's someone who really wants to help and maybe lead some of that. I guess where could someone go? What would be the first step?
The first step would be to call your local fire department. I've said that before on some other issues. I mean, whether that's a volunteer combination or paid fire department, usually there'll be somebody there who, even at the largest departments in the country, we have public, we have actually public sections that will talk to people and help them get the information they need. That would be my first recommendation. Is there's if you go online, you can look up CERT, which is Citizens Emergency Response Teams. There's CERT programs. There is stuff out there for folks who want to get involved. If you have a passion for it, and you ask the local fire department, they'll tie you in with who you need to talk to get the training.
Great, thanks, Randy.
Welcome to Outbreak, a new live stream format brought to you by the Stormfront Freaks podcast, hosted by me, meteorologist Brady Harris, also known as Stormcat 5. We'll go live on days of extreme weather with the goal of keeping you safe, informed, and entertained. The only question that remains is, are you ready for the outbreak?
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious things to eat.
The popcorn can't be beat. The sparkling drinks are just dandy. The chocolate bars and the candy. So let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
All right, welcome back to the show. So we're with Josh Wurman, Karen Kosiba, and my question for you two, and Karen, I'll actually start with you. I'm sure this question has been posed to you multiple times, but you guys took a recording of 309 to 318 mile per hour winds in that Greenfield, Iowa tornado that was rated an EF4 by the National Weather Service. So for everybody that's asking about how can it be an EF4 if you're measuring 300 plus mile per hour winds, explain that, would you?
Yeah, I get to start. It's a new thing. Yeah, so I mean, it's not inconsistent. You know, and I know people always ask that question. The EF scale is obviously a damage-based scale, and you have to have damage to occur in order to get a rating. And you have to have damage, you know, EF4 buildings that could be damaged. You have to have EF5 level buildings to be damaged. So it's certainly consistent with, you know, an EF4 rating and seeing winds still of over 300 miles an hour. First, because there just might not be buildings strong enough to get an EF5 rating. Second of all, well, that's probably the first and second of all of that.
I mean, it could have been an EF2 rating, and we measured 300 miles an hour if it hadn't gone through a town, because all it would have taken out was some center pivots or something like that, or those wind turbines, which I've been told, I don't know the numbers, but it's sort of low to mid 100 miles an hour can knock out the wind turbines. So you could have had that was all it damaged, and we still could have measured 300 miles an hour. These are very different types of measurements.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I mean, you know, a tornado everybody's probably also familiar with is the El Reno tornado in 2013, which once again, you know, our team measured winds over 300 miles an hour. The OU team measured winds of over 300 miles an hour, but it got an EF2 rating because that was all that was out there to give it a damage rating. That's just, again, they're not inconsistent. They're just different ways of getting wind speeds. And, you know, just because they give different answers, that's just the nature of getting different types of measurements.
Yeah.
So could you get a jury? Could you get a jury together and be like, "Come on, let's present our case"?
Carl, so the EF scale, as it's applied by the Weather Service, is just damage. You could have a radar measurement of 300 miles an hour. You could have somehow miraculously had an anemometer which survived. It was measuring 300 miles an hour. And still the rating of that tornado, the way the Weather Service does it, is just based on damage. So that's their decision of how they rate tornadoes based on only damage. We did a study a couple of years ago that's published in PNAS, Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, where we looked at 120 tornadoes that we had observed up through some period in time. And we analyzed the intensities of the tornadoes that we determined based on what the Weather Service determined. And on the average, the Weather Service was 1.5 to 2 categories low. And it's not because they're doing anything wrong. It's because there wasn't anything to damage, or there weren't strong engineered structures to damage in many, many of these cases. So on the average, they're rating tornadoes lower than what the measured wind speeds would be if you had something to measure them. Now, the critical thing about the Weather Service measurements is that they can rate every tornado pretty much, because it either most tornadoes are damaging something. They're knocking over a telephone pole or something. So even if it just knocks over a telephone pole, it can get a rating. The Dows are only there in a good year. I think our best year ever we measured 32 tornadoes out of 1,000. So in the best year ever, we were probably there for 3% of the tornadoes. We're hardly ever there. So even though we're getting what I think is a more representative measurement of the winds, it's very rare that we're there to do it.
So a lot of times we're talking about the data, and the data that you guys, and we'll use this tornado as an example that you guys found and collected. Who is using that data? And I guess how is that data actually going to help us? Because we hear about how it might help us forecast tornadoes better. So I'm just curious, who's using the data, and then what are we able to discover with that or help with that?
I mean, we're using the data. So, we're out there, collecting data as part of a scientific experiment. So we're out there for these projects, and we have specific objectives, specific hypotheses that we're trying to get data to answer. How strong are the winds at the surface? How do they do damage? How does that depend on tornado structure? So we're looking at those questions with this data. Ultimately, this data gets shared with other people. People are going to be looking at it in relation to the damage survey that was taken, during Greenfield, and looking at the observations that we got, and probably looking at, almost a building by building, basis of what the winds were at those different locations. And then also, and this is a standout high-end case, but we look at the data in context of all the other data that we're collecting. So, while this is one tornado, as Josh said, there's 1,000 tornadoes a year. So we're looking at, how does this tornado actually fit into the spectrum of tornadoes that we're seeing?
Yeah, so EF ratings, I could ask the question, well, who's using the EF rating? That's sort of just a documentation or a reporting of how strong a tornado is.
True.
Knowing whether it's EF 3, 4, or 5 doesn't help anybody in the town. What we're trying to do is learn more about tornadoes. First, the what, which is how strong was that tornado? How big is that tornado? How does it relate to the damage? And then also the why. Why was that tornado strong and the other ones weren't? The tornado that formed on us right before the first tornado went through Greenfield wasn't as strong, didn't last as long. Well, why was tornado number 1 strong and long lasting, and tornado number 2 was weaker and shorter lived? Why did the Greenfield tornado seemingly, we're still analyzing our data, intensify as it was near death? Whereas other tornadoes seem like they kind of have much more just weakening to death kind of evolutions. And that's why we're trying to collect all this temperature and relative humidity data, because that combined with the environmental winds are what determine the evolution of these tornadoes. And if we could predict it better, we'd make better warnings.
And if we can understand it better, we can predict it better, and we can make better warnings. I think we're still, in part of the understanding process. So we're really trying to understand some of these processes, how they relate to tornado strength, how they relate to tornado life cycle. So there's a lot of understanding that still has to happen, I think, before it translates into operations.
So my question I've got a data question, because you kind of answered it a little bit, Josh. You're looking at the current conditions at the time, the dew points, the winds, the temperature, all that stuff at one point. Then you're able to see what happens and collect all that data. I'm curious more on how you're applying it. Are you working with people who are working with modeling? I'm just trying to figure out exactly with you guys specifically, how are you applying that data? Is it all for modeling? Is it all for to be able to look at that moment, those few minutes beforehand to warn on it, or all the above?
Well, I think what Karen was saying is at this point, we're still trying to do some basic understanding. So if we can learn better some of the processes that are involved with tornado formation, then people who are developing the next generation of computer models can try to adjust their models. They can try to input some new physics. Karen led a paper several years ago looking at how the rear flank downdrafts and secondary surges, these secondary pulses of rear flank downdraft coming out of a storm, we're modulating, we're essentially affecting how a tornado started to form and then kind of died out and then really got going again. So understanding, that's state one, the understanding sort of in that tornado that it had this unsteady process, that we analyze that data, we publish it, modelers read it, and then modelers develop models which then simulate that. And in the future, if you had models that we look at all the time when we're out there chasing, like the HER, well, maybe the next generation, you know, HER 3 or HER 5 will have enough smarts in it, based on this understanding, to be able to predict whether the tornado is going to last a long time or whether it's going to form a second tornado in a cyclic tornadogenesis process. But there's the bunch of understanding steps that have to happen first. And that we're not doing so much modeling. I mean, you did modeling for your PhD work, right? So she's very expert in that, but we're not currently doing that with her data. We're trying to just understand the storms first.
I mean, in terms of that, I mean, obviously also we're doing analysis. There's different types of modeling, right? You don't have to do forecast prediction with models. You could try to understand using models. And a lot of times tornado models too are pretty crude. Even though they've gotten better and they're higher and higher resolution, there's always a question if, what you're modeling is actually what's happening in nature. And models are a lot easier to work with than trying to get out there and get all this different data. It's really challenging to get that. So some of the goals too is, to better inform some of these idealized models so you could run simulations and see what different things happen in a controlled environment, as long as you have confidence that you're representing what's happening in the atmosphere.
All right. So forecasts are getting better slowly. I mean, they're not a whole lot better than 20 years ago, but they are getting better. Our understanding is getting better, but that's been a slow process too. This has kind of been a hard problem, and hard problems sometimes just need, just pushing at it and grinding away at it year after year. One of the fundamental problems is that it's a fairly rare phenomenon. So unlike trying to study something in a laboratory, we can't just have a lot of them over and over and over. If you wanted to understand some kind of disease, maybe, plant disease, you could grow a lot of plants and do a lot of experiments, thousands and thousands of them reliably every year. We can't do that with tornadoes. So if we're trying to understand how strong tornadoes last, well, we don't see that every day. We might not even see that every year. So it's a slow process of gaining that data and gaining that understanding, because it's unusual and difficult to predict. If we could predict them better, we have a lot more data in them, and that curve would start to ramp up. But we're just slogging away at it, really.
Hard problems need big radars. That's what hard problems need. I think
there you go.
Solve the majority of the world's problem with a giant radar on your truck.
But you can't drive a giant radar down a street; it would hit the bridges.
No.
Oh, that's
true.
true.
That's true.
Good point.
So I have a wind speed question for you. So, you've measured over 300 miles an hour a couple times with these radars and tornadoes. But when you look up like record wind speeds, you've got like Mount Washington, the highest wind speed ever recorded by man. You've got Cyclone Olivia 96 that, recorded really high wind speeds. Do any of the wind speeds you ever record make it into the record books, or is it, like an interpolation kind of thing, or, you know what I mean?
First of all, deep sigh.
I know. I saw it. So I asked the right question.
I think we were in the Guinness Book World Records as the highest wind speed or something, and maybe it was the highest wind speed in a tornado. But I don't know do they still publish a paper edition? I don't know. Maybe we're still in the Guinness Book of World Records, but
in the Wikipedia records.
And I mean, sure, we're measuring winds which are certainly stronger than these Mount Washington winds and these hurricane winds, because they are. These tornadoes make stronger winds. So, but I don't know if maybe there is an official body. I mean, I know people keep asking, what's our official wind speed maximum? I mean, I don't know. Official, what is that? What Karen and I agree to? Let's make it official.
Okay.
I mean, there's no official body.
Legit. Give you the
check
stamp
mark.
right there. Yeah, the
with
check and the stamp.
Radars. So, I mean, we're using acceptable peer-reviewed techniques to process our radar data and make these wind speed determinations.
We're putting a range. I mean, we're not just giving a single number.
All these things are error bars. People focus on the exact mile per hour. I mean, that Mount Washington number is a little silly, 231. What? .0.
Yeah, is it
I mean,
0.3?
all these numbers ought to have error bars in them. It's just, I think back in the day when the Mount Washington measurement was taken, they just weren't being careful about it. They all have error bars. I mean, 309 to 318, I think 321 or something is what we have published for the Bridge Creek tornado.
Right.
But those are essentially the same number because there's an error bar. It's like saying it's 97.3 today, breaking the old record of 97.2. I mean,
Yeah.
4 feet away, it was probably 97.4. It's meaningless precision.
Who do you make the data available, or how do you make it available? I mean, do I need to bring a credit card? How are we doing the data thing here?
PayPal.
Yeah.
Please, yeah.
I think we prefer cash or Bitcoin would work. Or wine. Yeah, we're flexible.
Yeah.
So what we do is, we permanently archive this data, and we have it on FTP sites. It's generally used just by scientists. It's not very easy to use data. I mean, really, if I asked you, where's the data for that Mount Washington, could you find it? Or is it just printed in a book somewhere? I mean,
it's literally written in a book somewhere. I've seen it. Yeah, no, it's written in a book.
No, but I mean, that's what it is.
They counted
Okay,
clicks.
so our wind speed measurements are written in a book too. I mean, to actually get the raw data from Mount Washington, it's probably on some old piece of paper and it's ink. So what does that mean to have the data? Yeah, I mean, it's an ancient measurement. But we put our radar data. we put it online. Scientists can use it. Radar data is a high bar to using radar data because you have to have apps that can read the radar data. And ours is pretty. You have to have it navigated. There's a lot to using it. So our general method of disseminating the data is we analyze it and we publish it. We certainly share with other tornado scientists and researchers frequently. We were just dealing with some of those today, where people are asking for the FTP sites and everything, and we have these passwords which we'll share if emailed to get all this data. But it's sometimes hard to use, so there's always a middleman between the general public and complicated.
All right, so hey, if you heard that thunder, that's the sound. It's time for our lightning round. So this is our game show of flashy and brilliant questions we get to play with our guests. And tonight we're gonna play a little game that probably very few know why I'm bringing this up yet at this point. I will share, but it's a simple game we're gonna call Poop. All right, we're playing a good old game of poop is what we're playing. and so why we're playing this game of poop, ladies and gentlemen, is I heard from the grapevine that apparently Josh and maybe even Karen visited a poop museum while you were...
It was a poop cafe.
Oh, well, that even sounds worse.
Hold on.
Sounds yummy.
Yeah, it was a poop we went to a kimchi, that's fermented cabbage, kimchi museum and poop cafe.
All right.
We're here in South Korea for a conference, and those were two of the attractions.
Well, so
those
were two of the attractions. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. This is gonna be real simple and quick. I've got some questions regarding excrement, regarding feces, regarding whatever you want to call it. Hey, this is all scientific, folks. And it's up to Karen and Josh to give me an answer. It's multiple choice. I'm going to give you two possible answers. So it's real simple. The freaks are welcome. If they think they really know the answer, they could help you out a little bit. But otherwise, Josh and Karen, you guys are just up to answer this. So question number one. Which animal uses a cloud of excrement to distract predators, much as a squid uses ink? Is it the pygmy sperm whale or the blue-footed booby?
That's not an animal. There's no one.
And I said booby on air. I did. I'm sorry.
You did.
That's an animal?
Yes.
What do you guys think, Josh and Karen?
I think by boobies though. They don't stink.
They don't spray. So yeah, whale.
We're gonna go whale.
Sure. The
Whale.
whale. The whale.
All right, you're 1 for 1. Way to start. That's good. All right. Next question. Why do baby elephants eat their mother's droppings? Is it to rid themselves of parasites or to ingest essential gut flora? I told you this is scientific, folks.
I would
Gut
go
flora.
Gut
to
flora.
Gut flora. Wow,
We're
2 for
aligned
2.
right now. This is wow.
All right. Why is whale excrement important to oceanic ecosystems? Is it because it reduces algal blooms or it brings nutrients to surface waters?
Nutrients.
Oh, you guys are
Wow.
ripping. You guys are ripping the poop questionnaire. I love it.
This is insane.
I haven't been proud of this.
We are
Pace for Hobgood
coprophiliacs.
status. They're on pace for Hobgood status.
Yeah.
What is that?
We
What does
are
that even mean?
coprophiliacs.
You learn-
Coprophiliacs are people who love poop.
You learned that at the
Oh.
poop cafe or what? Or you knew that?
All right.
I knew that. I knew that before.
That's a little scary, Josh. That's a little scary. All right. Number 4, why is guano mined? Is it for the fuel or for fertilizer?
Fertilizer.
Very good.
Wow.
All right. Number 5, the word turd derives from which language's word for excrement? Is it Middle English or Latin? Turd.
Middle English.
It's a turd. Of course, it's Middle English. Yes.
Nice.
Okay. Number 6. We're gonna keep going until you guys maybe get one wrong. Why do guinea pigs eat some of their feces? Is it to conceal themselves from predators or to obtain vitamins?
Oh. They thought they was a raisin.
What?
That one.
What do you guys think?
You say it.
Vitamins.
Vitamins? You're correct.
Oh.
All right, two more to a perfect poop quiz.
Hold on,
folks.
Phil.
Wow.
What's the record? What
We're
is-
going for
is-
100%.
Is perfect the record? Have we had anyone get perfect?
I don't know. We've never played the poop quiz before, so this,
You're right.
this
Yeah,
would be
true,
a first.
true.
All right, what is caterpillar waste called? Coprolites or frass?
Teeny tiny crap.
I think coconuts are rocks.
Caterpillar waste, coprolites
Never
or
heard of the term
frass?
And I'm a bug person.
I'm
Wow.
I guess right.
My true calling was to be an entomologist, but I've
Ooh.
never. But I should be able to get this one. But
Yeah. Don't let us down. It's all you.
but I don't know the answer. See, I think a coprolite is actually, or is it a coprolith, like a fossil
Oh,
poop.
right.
That cool
Frass.
is lit.
You got it. All right.
Oh.
This is for all the money. This is for all the money right here,
All
folks.
right, 100%.
All right. The young of some species of which animal produce feces contained inside a sac of mucus, allowing the parents to easily remove the feces from the nest? Is this a bird or a clownfish?
Gonna be honest, I'm starting to feel a little woozy.
Bird.
But he said nest.
Bird.
He said
Yeah.
nest.
He said nest.
Okay, go with that.
Bird.
Bird.
Yay! 100%.
Unbelievable! Hobgood has been dethroned. Hobgood
Wow.
has been dethroned.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Hey,
Josh and Karen, that was
We are
outstanding.
doctors. We are doctors after all.
Oh.
Yeah. So Jackie and Grover commented, well, they apparently know their shit.
Good point. I got to mark that
Nice.
down. 103 10.
Yeah. Way to
MJ's
go.
not here, so I got to do the editing on the show. All right.
It's a good
So,
comment. It was worth it.
That was outstanding. So let me do this first. Karen, I'll start with you since the camera's on you right now. Where can people find and follow you on social media and everything?
Find me at the
Yeah,
local
you don't need to
brewery.
give your address, but like your social media stuff.
Yeah, she's at the brewery more often
Yeah,
than her
the
local
brewery.
address.
The brewery's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I totally got distracted. Yeah, I'm not really good at social media. I'm on Twitter, so you can follow me on Twitter. It's probably not very interesting. A mix of weather and greyhounds.
Whoa.
Oh.
Nice combo.
No,
And
Down
so
facility has a tweet.
Yeah, but
what's
that's
your
not
account?
me.
What's your account?
No, but the Doppler on Wheels facility has
Yeah.
a Twitter account.
Yeah, our radars maintain an account.
Well, Karen, so
Down
share what your
facility.
account is. You said you can find you on Twitter, but what's your
Right,
handle?
it's my name, Karen, at Karen Kosiba.
Very good.
And then the radars have a Twitter account, X account. at Dow facility.
Very good. All right. And then Josh, are you even on social media? Like I had the hardest time trying to find you anywhere.
You're on
social
Twitter.
media.
Yeah, apparently I have a Twitter account that I've never posted or read.
It's a mess.
Yes.
No. This dates back to TV time where when we were on TV, we're not. No, I said for not doing it, avoiding social media because there were just too many crazies out there who want to send.
Hasn't changed.
Hate Facebook messages.
More.
Yeah. No, I'm on nothing.
So just follow the Dow.
That's how cool I am.
Snail mail.
Dow.
That's good. Well, I'll tell you what.
See the Dow, you know you're right.
That's right. So tell you what, folks, we're going to take a quick break. And when we return, we're going to have some tornado trailer trash and our hashtag weather fools. So stay tuned. Oh, my goodness. Great job on the poop quiz.
Yeah.
We aced that.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, Josh and Karen, this is history because in the time that we've been doing Weatherfuls, I think we've only had one other person get perfect, and it was Dr. Hobgood, all the way back on what, Phil? It was like episode.
Dr.
It was
was that supermodel or hurricane name?
It was supermodel or hurricane names, and he got all
yeah.
them right. Ever since then, no one's got a perfect score, so you are an elite company.
Yes.
Well, Josh and Karen, I appreciate it. I've got so one of our good friends, Dan Wallace, who was hanging out in the green room. I wanted him to have a chance to ask any questions of you if he had any. So, Dan, you've got the stage.
No pressure.
Just real quick, pressure. Real quickly, and I don't know if this was already kind of touched on, but can you speak briefly to like what the day before an event happened, what it looks like, planning a day before and then like day of?
Are you talking about tornado missions or other kinds of missions?
Primarily convective, tornado.
So we do different kinds of projects. Sometimes when we have a very major project and it's a big government-funded project, we're just nomadic for a month and a half or 2 years. Next year we have a big hail project, and we're going to be just out in the field, staying in hotels in different cities. So it's sort of like a Stormchaser tour, but it goes on for 2 months. And each day, some super loud plane in the background.
They found you.
They did.
Is that the fly?
It's time to go, guys. It's time to go. Time to make the exfil.
So basically each day on a project like that, the lead scientists would get together and do a briefing. And we would have every day we just have a mission planning meeting where we discuss that day's forecast, discuss the next day's forecast, and what mission we're going to do that day and how we're going to be in position for studying, doing a mission on the next day, on day 2 and day 3. In this year for our project, we didn't have as much funding basically. So we did a much more limited project where we were on standby in Boulder. And so the day before a mission, we are either deciding what time to leave the next morning from Boulder, or we're deciding 2 days ahead of time that, hey, the mission might be in Iowa. We need to get in position. So we might leave the day before even and drive to someplace. So let's say we thought in a couple days there was going to be tornadoes in Iowa. We would drive to North Platte, Nebraska, or Omaha, Nebraska, someplace to get closer. And then that morning we would fine tune our plan, and we would go either to Southwest Iowa or to Northeast Kansas, or we would fine tune where we were going to go.
And then the day of, we're obviously just watching the weather, like most people are, and trying to decide, what's looking best, if storms are looking better, if you're seeing moisture pooling somewhere or something like that. And then just making very, on the spot decisions then. Mm-hmm. It's good with a small team. I mean, with a small team, a lot of people, there's a lot of input, and people are talking pretty freely, pretty informal. It's a pretty informal process.
Yeah, we've had very big projects. We did a project a decade ago called Vortex 2. And we had 150 people out in the field at its peak. So just a huge army of people. We had, I think, 100 rooms at hotels, sometimes split among different hotels in a town. And so it'd be a very big group, a very big armada of over 50 vehicles, moving them from place to place. So we have different scopes of projects like that. The process has evolved a lot since I've gotten involved. We built the first Dow and fielded it in 1995. So 29 years, we built it in 94, 30 years. But the process has changed a lot because the information and communications is so much better than it used to be. We used to get information in the morning before we would leave someplace. We'd be calling on landlines to get places. We would go to the weather service and try to get whatever computer model forecast the weather for that day, trying to get weather observations. Nowadays, there's computer models coming out every hour with pretty good forecasts. There's information from all these mesonets everywhere. And then when storms start to form, there's all this radar data that you can just get over apps because the radars are better, the computer models are better, and of course, everybody's got cell phone internet now. It used to be you had no communications or almost no communications once you were out in the field. So that's a real, much better information and a great equalizer too between people who might be casually going out recreationally trying to see some interesting storms and people have been doing it for decades. Everybody now has pretty good information.
Cool. Hey, Karen's already been on the show and gave us a little spot, but Josh, if you would do the same, if you could just say, hey, this is Dr. Josh Wurman of the Dow, and this is the Stormfront Freaks.
Hi, this is Josh Wurman with the Dow Radars, and this is Stormfront Freaks.
Touche. Good job. That was good.
Nice.
All right. So here's what we do. Now, we've got just a couple other quick segments we're going to do. One is playing a couple stupid tornado movie trailers that we're going to comment on. And the other segment is we show people doing stupid stuff in weather situations and we comment on that. You guys are welcome to just stick around, sit back and comment on this stupid stuff. Or if you got to go, you got to go. And I get that as well. What would you like to do?
We can comment for a while.
Okay.
What's your time frame here?
It'll be about 15 more minutes, maybe.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. At some point, we got to get a bus. But,
all right.
Yeah.
So you guys are now in the peanut gallery. So you're welcome to comment on this crazy stuff. Tamster, thanks for gifting
Nice.
the memberships.
That is amazing. That's a lot. That's a lot of memberships. Thank you.
All right. So here's the first one we're going to do is hashtag WeatherFools. So Brady, you are coming in introducing WeatherFools. Who has a weather fool? I've only got one from Dina. Anybody else? Okay. So Dina's got one. I've got some, but I don't have time to try and play them and figure them out. So Dina, just you.
Okay.
And then after we play that, Brady just mentioned, again, stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 213, show notes. Okay. And then Dina, do you need audio on that or is it, can you visually see what's going on?
It's funnier with sound, but I can explain it.
Okay, let me see.
It's all about
then.
this guy and what he's saying. So.
All right, so let me try and then I will try and share that. Also share audio tab. Yes. All right, so I should be able to do that. All right.
Okay. If not, I'll explain it.
Then we're going to tornado trailer trash. Dina, unmute yourself and explain what this is. I've got two trailers I'm going to play, and you guys certainly talk over it and what you're seeing and what looks stupid or what doesn't, whatever. And then, Dina, you can finish when I'm done with the second one with, again, stormfrontfreaks.com. You can find the links to those in the show notes for episode 213. And then Freak Fanbox, Serena, you're just doing some of the Fanbox mentions, and then I'm going to close it out.
Sweet.
Get it.
So here's what I'm going to do. Sorry, I'm doing all this stuff.
You're killing it, Phil.
So I'm going to play. So I'll play the Weather Store commercial video, Vintage Episodes commercial, and the Drive Under the Moon Pecos Hank song, and then Weather Fools. Dan, heading you back to the green room. Brady, can you take Tamster's banner off there?
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you.
That's what's going to define it.
Brady, I'm going to put you there. All right, everybody ready?
Do it.
Ready.
Okay, so we are starting with this. Here we go. 3, 2.
The Stormfront Freaks is now available on the Weather Store. Come shop our catalog of shirts, hats, and hoodies, all with our Stormfront Freaks logo and Outbreak logo. Plus, you'll find all your other favorite weather geek and storm chasing gear, footwear, and accessories. Visit the Weather Store at thewxstore.com, the exclusive supplier of the Stormfront Freaks.
Don't miss Vintage Stormfront Freaks.
This one here, we do have a few dents in the new Suburban, but my truck, that hood's a trophy.
You might as well put 2 GoPros on there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What it looks like.
So I'm like, I'm going to drive this thing into a tornado, and then they all start laughing.
Good. You'll be the only sober one by the end of the night.
Yo, gather round, my peeps. Let me tell you about a treat. It's the Stormfront Freaks podcast that can't be beat.
Let's take a drive under the moon. Let's take a drive under the somber sky. Let's take a drive under the moon.
Uh-oh. 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 Welcome back to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. I am Stormcat 5. Guys, what is this segment? I forgot to do my intro where I was going to make a little Who pun because I think that was the Who, but don't worry about it, guys. What is this segment? This is Weather Fools. And what are we doing here on Weather Fools? We're looking for someone that did something not so smart, and it deals with the weather. Phil likes to say the dark web. We're looking on Twitter. We're looking on Instagram. We're looking on anywhere where we can find on the World Wide Web. Dina, you are up first. Guys, I want everyone to spam the Dina emotes in the chat. Let Dina know you love her. Dina, who is your weather fool this week?
Okay, so this guy, he's the weather, the meteorologist for this Channel 7 in Denver.
Traffic, but
and
first we go to Ryan
it's
Marshall,
so funny because he's out there in the snow. I don't know why he's wearing a short sleeve shirt, but so they tossed to him. He's been standing out there
like I predicted
for,
in my
for 20
forecast
minutes and he's pissed.
from the studio.
He's
I'm not
just
sure
angry
why I'm
because
out here.
why am I
literally
standing
looking
out here the
around. It
whole
looks
time?
like
It's
snow. You
freezing.
can
Why
just
do you
take a
need me to
video
stand out
of
here
it
and tell you
snowing
there's
and show
snow?
that.
It's
Why do
cold.
I have to be
He's
here
like,
to
why do I have to
describe
be here?
snowfall?
I
It's
spent
pretty
$120,000 on my education. I was
Seems
in
like the
school
cold
for
has
4
gotten
years,
you in an
and
icy
you're
mood yourself,
making me stand
Ryan.
out here.
Okay, you
This
know
is
what?
funny.
Shannon, I am in an icy mood, okay? Nice
So
pun,
he's
by the way.
the-
All right, I was just
one of
standing
the
out here for
journalists
20
in the-
minutes waiting for
in
you
the
guys
studio
to
goes,
throw
"You're
to
kinda
me, and I was
icy,
just
Ryan." He
doing
goes,
some thinking.
"You know what,
I
Shannon?
spent
I'm a little see because I'm
$120,000
standing out
on a
here and I don't
degree
need to be.
and
You
4
could have
years
just
in
taken
college
video.
to come out here
But when it's
and
nice
look
outside, do you
around
ever send me
and
there? No.
describe what
This
I
is one of those,
literally
like, when you
learned
get a
that
second,
in
go back to the
kindergarten,
show notes and
I
watch this.
spy.
Because, like,
It makes
very rarely do I find
zero
something that
sense.
makes me
Also,
laugh
you know
through
what
the
else
whole
I was
thing.
thinking while
And
we're
this
at
is
it?
funny.
When it's like a nice
he's
day
just so
where
mad.
it's sunny,
He's
This
you
is
can
great.
send me
I've
out to
seen
the
this
lake
before.
or
It's
to the
super
pool
funny.
for a live
It is.
shot, but, oh, when there's
It's a little bit
hurricane
old, but
or
oh my god, I
snowing
saw
or a
this. I
blizzard or a
laughed.
flood.
Worth it.
He's
Worth
like,
it.
stick me
Hilarious.
out in a blizzard, stick me
He
out in a
is
flood,
funny.
but don't send me anywhere nice.
The hilarious
He's like,
part
and I've
about
been
this,
waiting 20
too-
minutes for you to toss to me.
And that's a local news station, right? Like Denver
Yeah, Channel 7.
right? That's just
Yeah.
a local news. So you just have a local report, obviously for a big market, but he's just
It was
that
funny.
guy's
You
awesome.
guys got to watch that one. That one's a good one.
That guy's awesome. Well, I also just wanted to quickly share this, guys. So I know this isn't really well. This is kind of a weatherful. This is Tarmac the Weather Cat. So NWS Little Rock has Tarmac the Weather Cat. Tarmac the Weather Cat maintains his watch, keeping the overnight shift forecasters safe and sound. So I don't
good
really know
kitty.
who I don't really know who the weatherful is here, but I wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know either.
His name is
You know-
Tarmac. It's awesome. I don't care.
Tarmac the Weather Cat. He's getting a spot.
Hey, it's a light weather fools today, so we needed to fill a spot. All right, but so this is Tarmac the Weather Cat. I think more National Weather Services need to have some sort of mascot, maybe dog, maybe a parrot. But I love the idea here for Tarmac the Weather Cat. Anyway. But if you want to check out these Weatherfuls and more, go to stormfrontfreaks.com, check out the show notes section, and look for episode 213.
Oh, yeah. Tornado trailer trash, because we get her done here. So this is one of the segments of the show where, like, we find the B movie type thing, like the worst of the weather trailers, and we kind of just have to, kind of laugh at it, when they're getting their naders, get some of those. So I think Phil, you have a couple of these.
So I've got a couple, what I thought were pretty bad trailers of disaster kind of movies that I don't know if anybody is going to want to watch these, but the first one's an older one, but it's got some decent actors on it. It's called Hurricane. It's from 1979, and it's a slow. Even the trailer is a slow burn. But let's go ahead. I'm going to pull this up, and we can watch the trailer to Hurricane. And the waves, it makes it look like a hurricane's coming, but it's hold on, it's not yet. Pacific. It's not. Lush, like
secluded.
Yeah.
Secluded, so we're all gonna have something bad happen to us.
Where's the storm?
Yeah, if you're watching this film for a hurricane,
if there is a place,
you're probably a little disappointed, at least for the first, I would guess,
like a
4/5 of the movie. Yeah. Mia Farrow,
like a captain or something. So it's like a weird bad version of the Love Boat.
Paradise.
There's a scene that makes me think of what was that movie with Brooke Shields? They were stranded on an island. Blue Lagoon. Hold tight, and there's a scene that makes it look like she's like falling in love with this with the island guy.
Oh,
he's definitely there. You go. Here's Blue Lagoon for you. 1979 Blue Lagoon.
But your love can't stand the hurricane.
It's a forbidden love.
We haven't seen one cloud yet.
No,
we haven't seen one drop of weather at all. It's like
there was a wave.
Please, she's so fair-skinned. She's gonna burn in a second.
What are those drums?
The night before the wedding, the old ladies sit her down on a white mat in front of everyone. Well, one of the elders finds out if she's a virgin.
Uh-oh. Yeah, how do they do that? That's not good.
Charge is permitting an obscene sexual
at this point, I don't even know what's going on.
Yeah, the hurricane's gonna put everyone out of their misery when it finally.
I don't know.
I don't think people stayed for the hurricane.
No.
Two opposing worlds. Two separate.
They were like waiting for the hurricane.
Brought forth
There's a Hawaii here.
There needs to be more like wolves.
I'm just trying to think. It has to be a place that's
Tomorrow wolves in this movie.
Oh God.
Well, it could have been filmed in Hawaii, right? But they said it was somewhere in the Pacific.
There's a hurricane eventually.
Yeah,
here we
It's
go.
coming to ruin their
ruin their love. The hurricane that ruined their love.
Well, we're trying to make sure this was filmed in a place that actually has hurricanes, not Tahiti or something.
Right.
Yeah,
So that
somewhere.
in the storm they found love. That was the quote.
Did somebody drown?
Hurricanes?
Yeah, like I don't think people stayed for the trailer. Like I would think people walked out of the movie because this trailer was so bad.
What's going?
I don't know. I would have
This big wave also.
Me dizzy. Me dizzy.
The Zoom feature
Oh my
must have
gosh.
been new when this came out.
Oh gosh, that font. That
went
font
through a
just
church.
makes me cringe. That doesn't even look like the word hurricane. I mean, with that font, it makes it look like a different word. Oh, that's terrible.
That was brutal.
So don't rush to
wake
Netflix to necessarily see that.
Wait, that's on Netflix?
I have no idea.
Okay. I'm gonna go look for it.
All right, so this
Hard
last
pass.
one is even better, and I encourage you all to see if
Really?
you can recognize. Well, yeah, better in a crappy way.
Low bar. Very low bar.
But I encourage you all to look at the actors in this trailer and see if you can identify the actors. These are well after their heyday, but see if you can recognize. This is Category 6, Day of Destruction. Oh, Josh has watched this. He's got that look like, oh, I saw this.
I think I saw part of that on TV. Yeah.
There's like pterodactyls that were just flying.
This hail, look at that hail. Do you guys recognize him? Oh, it's a Hallmark movie.
The National Weather Administration have told me there's a major storm.
Oh, it's Joe.
Joe from Facts of Life.
You take the good, you take the
that guy.
bad, you take
He was
the
a Breaking
both,
Bad
and
guy.
there you
Oceanic.
have the
Isn't
facts
that
of
like
life.
the same one, Die Hard?
The facts of life.
Pushing down on
That was
There was a real
good
storm in there
timeline.
for a minute.
Yeah.
Gulf storm pushing up.
Oh, there's more waves.
That's fueled by the tropical desert.
Oh, there we
Ooh.
go.
Satellite.
Well, this one's better than the last one.
Yeah, I'd
Hey, it's
actually.
Cousin Eddie. Did you see Cousin Eddie?
Cousin
I
Eddie.
did.
Shitter's
Oh,
full.
Shitter's full.
Shitter's
Oh.
full.
Oh my God.
Oh.
wants to hear the sky is falling.
Oh, wind
Oh, there's
turbine.
the turbines.
Oh, that
Yeah.
looked-
What does it take to take those out, Josh? 100.
Brian Dennehy.
St. Louis.
There we go.
There he is.
He's still playing Cousin Eddie. Oh, he's a storm
That's
chaser.
funny.
That's
Oh,
cool.
that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Dude, lightning is just blowing things up.
Stock market crashes.
That is
Okay, this looks
insane.
terrible, but I'd absolutely watch it. I would absolutely
Oh.
Whoa.
compare to the last one.
Helicopter. Yeah, I agree.
Oh my gosh.
I saw a car from somewhere up high hit the side of a building.
got
I'm
some
like,
stars
I'm
in
watching
this.
like.
Oh my-
What do we,
There's stars after their day of destruction, I think.
When did this come out?
That was 2004.
Wow.
And I think it was like a mini series.
It was so
on the
good
Hallmark
we lost
channel.
our guests.
I know.
Done.
They fell asleep.
Wow.
Well, if you
They
do
were
want to
done.
watch these, they're all on the show notes, episode 213 at stormfrontfreaks.com.
Send me a postcard, drop me a line.
You've got mail, baby. Yeah.
Yeah, we do got mail. So got a bunch of things that have come in here recently. So first we've got Fuzzy, big fan of Fuzzy, says
Fuzzy.
as always. I think Trollbot said one of the greatest of what they were thinking. Can't wait to see Josh and Karen on the show next week. So thank you, thank you, Fuzzy. That's awesome. We've also have a whole bunch of YouTube super chats from Outbreak. Penguins 3 was a super chat saying, "Don't go to the subway in Lyman. You had to be there." Stormchaser Logan sent something in for an insurance claim filing fee cover. We also had super chats from Tamster, from Jess, Tiffany, Stormfront Freaks, Enjoyer, Carly Lewis. So thanks to everybody who's been contributing and watching and participating in Outbreak. That's been super awesome. Got a message from Jamie saying, "Great show, very interesting. Machine learning tool StormNet. Gonna test it out today during our chase here in the Northeast." So I'm totally interested in hearing how that went. We've got Kimmy Patterson says, "I absolutely enjoyed the live stream. Brady, you are just awesome." That's an understatement, man, but you are, man. So thanks for writing in. And lastly, we've got Nikki Guerrera, who wrote in and says, "Hey, I watched the YouTube live for most of today and just wanted to let you know that it saved me from a ton of mental stress. Tornado threats are a huge anxiety trigger for me, but being able to watch the storms be tracked and explained made it so much less scary and helped me feel less alone. I'm so glad Serena sent this weather weenie to you guys. Thank you for keeping me sane-ish today." So,
Oh, that was nice.
Tracked, explained, and had a visual on. Thanks to you, Serena. It was like
Thanks.
ridiculously close to a tornado.
it's fun. So definitely reach out to us, send us messages. And if you're posting anything on social you think we'd like to see or hear, definitely don't forget to tag Stormfront Freaks podcast.
And the other thing is, not only was she close to it, she was close to a tornado in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
That's what I think we kind of have to all remember is.
Oh yeah.
That's where we was. But so hey, I think that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks Live. Do us a favor, if you like the show, Brady, what should they do?
Mash the like and subscribe button. I want you guys to break your mouse. If you do break your mouse, find me on Twitter and I'll get you a new one.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that. Now you're gonna be buying them.
Stormcat 5.
1,000 of those.
Stormcat 5. All right, let's go around the horn and find out where people can follow you guys. Deanna, start with you.
I am LadyPilot70 on Instagram and X and Threads.
Very good, Maz.
On X at MoneyStorm, the number 4, the letter U. That's at MoneyStorm for you.
Wow, that was with
such a good name.
with like
Gusto.
confidence, yeah, and gusto.
I have to
All right.
go to the bathroom. That's why.
All right, Stormcat.
Yeah, guys. Well, I'm going to be honest. I wish I had Maz's name because Money Storm for you is awesome. I got Stormcat 5 with an underscore. Still talking about trying to find the original Stormcat 5, but so far the search has been inconclusive. So I'm Stormcat 5 with an underscore.
Okay, Serena.
All right, everything is at WX Serena, WXCYRENA, and I've got copies of the Hurricane Story probably shipping next week or pretty close to that.
Bye.
So if you want your copy of the Hurricane Story before hurricane season, and also re-releasing copies of the Weather Story, you can find those at francisfoxstories.com.
Awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. And so Dan Wallace, I know you're working on some awesome video projects. I've seen one of them already. You've got a talent for that, my friend. Where can people find all those?
I appreciate it. I've got them on YouTube. It's Dan Wallace WX.
Smash that subscribe button for
Cool.
Dan, baby.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. So, hey, special thanks to our guests tonight that ditched us during the tornado trailer trash, which makes sense. But Josh Wurman and Karen Kosiba, they were great.
They were.
That was awesome. That was a lot of fun. So our next episode, ladies and gentlemen, the sequel is here. You know what I'm talking about? You better get your Twisters tickets. And I'm telling you right now, you need to get your tickets there is now a nationwide pre-screening on Wednesday night. So you can actually go Wednesday night, July 17th to see the film. I've got tickets for Wednesday night to see it in IMAX. So I'm pumped about that. Or you can get tickets throughout the day on Thursday. So it's also, even though they say the movie opens on Friday, July 19th, you can go the 17th and you can go the 18th. And here's why you want to do it before Thursday night is because our next episode, we're going to be live doing a Twisters review and call-in show, which means we're all going to be getting together with two great guests, Rick Smith, the National Weather Service Norman WCM out of that office. Rick Smith is going to be there, as well as Stormchaser Connor Toon. He's also out of the Oklahoma City area. He chases for the Forewarn team out of Oklahoma City. They were both had some involvement with the film as well, so it's going to be a great opportunity to hear from them what their involvement was. But also, so you can call in and let us know what you thought of the film, or if you've got questions for Rick or Connor, it'll be a great opportunity to do that. It's going to be an awesome night. We're going to have a great time, and we're going to take everybody's calls. So go see the film Wednesday night or sometime Thursday, because we're going to be live Thursday night, normal time, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. That's on July 18th. And you're all going to be there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got your tickets?
I will. And I'm in New Hampshire. It's not going to sell out here, but I'm going to buy them very soon.
They're not doing the premiere in New Hampshire after the tornado warnings that went through there. There was actually a tornado, right?
There was. Last time I checked, they had plenty of seats still. But I'll be buying them soon.
All right, so you can watch that on YouTube. We'll be on youtube.com/StormfrontFreaks. You can watch it there. We'll have the number to call in live and all that. And then the audio podcast of that will be available that weekend as well, just in case you hadn't seen the movie and you maybe don't want any spoilers. But for those of you watching right now, stick around for our after show party. But for Dan, Dina, Maz, Stormcat, and Serena, I'm going to signal the all clear, and we will catch you guys next time. So good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Stormfront Freaks podcast. You can watch our bi-weekly show live on youtube.com/StormfrontFreaks and download the audio version on your favorite podcast player. For links to our Patreon team of exclusive benefits, show notes, past shows, new videos, merchandise, and more, visit our website at stormfrontfreaks.com. While you're there, check out our interactive chaser radar from our friends at zoomradar.com. If you'd like to contact us with questions or make comments about the show, shoot us an email to questions@stormfrontfreaks.com or follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Search for Stormfront Freaks. We'd love to hear from you. Join us next time and tell a friend about the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
All right, so I just do want to tell Tamster, we are not playing the movie Twisters on that Thursday night. So no, you can't watch the film. We'll be talking about it and sharing our experience, and obviously hearing from Rick and Connor. So I just wanted to share that.
Good catch on that.
So hey, I just want to say, you guys, great questions from everybody. That was very helpful and awesome. That let me just, which you always do anyway, but it's always just helpful to know when MJ's not here and I got to do all this crap as well.
Yeah, it's a lot more stress.
It's helpful. And I do want to thank Brady for, while Josh and Karen were on, not bringing your dinos out and playing.
I tried to not get so weird. My mom texted me. She was like, "Hey, you should take the glasses off tonight." I'm like, "All right, we'll take them off for most of the night."
Good call, Mom. Good call, Mama Harris. That was a good call. Yeah, there's some people that you just you can be a little more like that. There's others that you just I wasn't sure, especially with Josh, right? I wasn't sure, and but I knew I could pull out this poop thing because he sent me an email about I'm at this poop cafe, whatever, and I think Jen Walton texted me too and said it's hilarious because they were on NBC Nightly News. They were playing the little bit on their Greenfield tornado data, and while they were playing that, he was at this poop cafe or whatever it was. I was like, all right, well, we got our lightning round. You know what that is.
Well, kimchi and poop, I would think would go together.
Ooh, yeah, that wouldn't make
goes in as kimchi.
Comes out something else.
So that's good. Brady, did you get your jersey before the hockey game tonight?
No, I did not. I'm definitely gonna wear it because I've got a game on Sunday, so I'm gonna wear it for that. And
all right, you should probably have it by tomorrow. I would.
Fantastic. I'm in. Oh.
But
I got to run, but good job, everybody.
Right.
Awesome.
Maz has got to poop.
I was going to say, I got to run right after the
he had to use the bathroom a while ago.
Guys, I need help. Which screening do I buy? Do I buy the Ultra Screen DLX laser projection or the Super Screen DLX with Dolby Atmosphere?
I have no idea.
I don't understand. There's all these terms here, and I'm like, which one? Laser projection sounds cool.
The chat will tell you to buy the most expensive one, especially if it comes with a dinosaur.
Yeah, chat, what do you think? Should I buy the Ultra Screen laser projection or the Super Screen Dolby Atmosphere? I have no clue.
The Dolby thing is a sound thing, so maybe the sound is gonna. It's probably great with both. In fact, it probably doesn't really matter. I got IMAX because I wanted to see it on a big screen, but who knows what the sound.
I found IMAX in New Hampshire too. I'm like, yes.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
You guys have IMAX in New Hampshire. That's good.
It's the darndest thing.
Just gotta drive 40 miles.
Yeah, let's not talk about how far I have to drive for it, but still.
That's cool.
Sounds
Dan, did you get tickets?
I'm actually going to be on a road trip around that time, so I've got to kind of dial it in a little closer.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
So Brady, you got an answer to what Dolby Atmos. It's not atmosphere, by the way. It's Atmos.
You know what? I think for Twisters, it is atmosphere.
It's true. You could be
Well,
right.
it's not very full yet.
I want to know who these 5 people are. I want to meet them. I want to go grab a beer with them. I want to go talk to them about weather because
Pick the seat right next to them then.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I kind of like to be on the end because then no one will sit next to you. But
I like where these people sit. I like sitting in the very back in the middle.
I'm like,
you know what they're doing in the back. Come on.
Oh, well,
they're not watching the movie.
Hold on, there's 3 of them. I mean, and there's one.
Well,
I'm looking up my husband
Weird.
who falls asleep in all the movies.
Right? I don't know. I think I'm gonna go like right.
Oh, Tamster's gonna see it in a drive-in, which would be pretty cool. I might still do that, to be honest with you.
I was gonna
there
say
was
the
more
same thing, Phil.
drive-ins.
Yeah, I may have to do that.
Oh, that would be a good Stormfront Freaks get together.
Oh,
Is seeing it in a drive-in theater.
That's
It
true.
would be fantastic.
All getting together with a bunch of
drive-in.
people and
We've
All right,
got
Mama
one,
Keith
but
says
you guys
she stood next to me.
after
Mama
earlier this
Keith.
year.
I'm in H, seat G. That's really confusing that their seats are also lettered, but I'm in row H, seat G.
Yeah, of course they got a letter.
Ida and I are on the
letter is
same
the
wavelength.
row.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know.
Avoid sitting next to those 3 in the back, Brady.
I agree.
That's
I
all.
agree. Also, Ida Hawk Tua. Do you guys know what that's from, right? The meme that's going around.
No.
Hold on, wait. You guys haven't seen the Hawk
I've seen a
Tua?
lot of reference to it. I'm
Hold on,
embarrassed
hold on,
to
hold
admit
on,
I
hold
haven't
on,
seen
hold on,
it
hold
yet.
on, hold on. We need to stop what we're doing and watch this right now.
Hey, it's Dr. Klopsbuck.
Yeah,
What,
I don't know why my Twitter always goes to him, but wait.
What's this called? Hawk Talk?
Tua.
Tua.
Okay, so wait, I actually don't think I'm sharing my audio. Hold on, let me share my. This is 100% worth it. This is
No one leave yet.
No one leave. I'm
Just
sure.
wait.
I'm sure a lot of you know who this person is, but yikes! I'm sharing the wrong screen. Let's go back. Share this screen. Share this screen. Share that screen. Share that screen, and we're live. All right. So this is basically someone was interviewed, and this is what she said.
How many is on your roster?
There's only one I want. I love you, Pookie, forever.
How do you get over a breakup?
Only way to get over one is get under another. Make the cobwebs off this thing.
Don't miss. What's one move in bed that makes a man go crazy every time?
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk to it. Spit on that thing.
Oh my God.
Oh God. Oh jeez.
So
is she like coughing up a loogie? Is that what she's doing? No, thank you.
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk to it. Spit on that thing. You get me?
And that's
Oh my God.
Literally.
Okay.
Literally, I have known.
What's
Like,
Mama Harris think about that?
listen, Mama Harris what Mama Harris don't know, don't hurt her. Okay. But all I'm trying to say, literally, I've heard, like in the middle of a Reds game, there was a baseball announcer that said like like it's just a thing that everyone says now. Like you'll just hear it in public, and it like I heard it work. I'm just like, what is going on? So it's wild. So that's that Hawk Tua is.
That's Ida. Way to go, Ida.
It's time to go to bed.
All right. I'm ending the stream, so say goodbye to all of our viewers. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
You're all awesome.
See you
Bye,
guys.
y'all. Bye, weenies.
Live on Outbreak on